What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things table, top, gaming. My name is Jason.
And I'm James.
And I'm Ant.
How are you doing this week, guys?
Pretty good.
Good. I'm calm.
Calm.
I'm calm.
Calm as a Hindu cow.
Oh, yeah. We're allowed to keep that. I don't even know if that's insulting or not. Oh well, if we get taken down, and we can blame
Just
you.
blame on me,
Yes,
mate.
that's
We'll
absolutely.
be punished next week.
How have you been this week, guys? You all good?
Busy but good, mate.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yep. Less said about that, the better.
Fair enough. James, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Good. Yes. No, it's day 4 for Wimbledon for me. I'm shattered beyond belief. I think
As you pre-won last episode.
days 1, 2, and 3 I did 14 hours, and today I did 15. And tomorrow is 13 hours, I think.
God.
So yeah, it's it's hard.
No. Just no.
Yeah, just no. I have, however, got this weekend off because I got my son, which is good, which means I'm going to get some rest. Whereas normal years I have to do like 14 days straight. So yeah, as you can probably hear, my voice is a bit
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a bit It's
We'll see how it gets later on, if you rage out later or not.
Well, yeah, exactly. Probably a poor choice to do another episode, but I think some clarification might be needed after last week's episode.
Okay.
Because apparently one of us raged a little bit about a game.
Us?
Or two.
Rage? Surely not.
Yeah, I think we were kind of pretty calm about the situation until someone mentioned their number one.
I thought we were. I don't personally remember much
From the rage.
after number 2. There was kind of like a blank part of my
He
memory.
blacked out. But the next personality kicked in.
Yes, we obviously did an episode about our. I guess it's not really a top 5, is it? But we'll say it's a top 5 disappointing games.
It was top 5, yeah. Games that didn't meet our hype. Or,
Yeah, it's the top 5 that you don't really want your games to be in, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
Because it's more like the bottom 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a particular game which for me was Star Wars Rivals, caused me to go into a bit of a rage.
Is it still in your house?
It is. It is. I'm really struggling. Really struggling to keep it here.
Paul, you need to come pick it up now if you don't want to see it again, mate.
Yeah. But there was a little bit of raging, and for those that don't know, I edited out about 20 minutes of of rage. So you didn't get the full effect. There was some bits in there which probably wouldn't have
Got the final cut edition.
got the final cut. Didn't really fit the family-friendly side of things. I managed to hold my tongue when it came to the profanity, which I'm very impressed with. But some of the examples might not have been.
James, you've been working on him with this for a lot longer than I have. Has he ever raged as much as he did that episode?
Not on the microphone.
I think the only other time we've done that was ironically the Lost episode where we never actually released it.
Yeah.
About that exact
And there's
game.
obviously the reason why.
Yeah, that really was a profanity-filled episode. So yeah, not great. But anyway, I was struggling because obviously I've been quite tired. I've been struggling to think about
been busy,
a
mate.
topical for this week. So I reached out to the both of you, and you came up with a suggestion.
I come up with suggestions. Don't throw this on me, Jason.
Actually, it's a very good point. You did come up with suggestions, but one that stood out to me was probably the one that you were joking about the most by putting
It actually was.
hot steaming garbage, which is, I believe, what I referred to Star Wars Rivals as. And I just instantly liked it because I have had a few messages to me. I was like asking, opinions and why I feel the way I do. What is it about games that I don't like? That put it in that category.
Yeah.
And we've been enjoying the hot steaming garbage. Saying
Since last week.
Since last week, yeah. Everything is hot steaming garbage
Yep,
now,
pretty much,
evidently. But we wanted to talk about basically what it is that might make us feel a game is edging towards that hot steaming garbage category. However, I guess I've got some game examples, but I wouldn't say they're in the hot steaming garbage category. It's just
Okay, interesting.
They have some mechanics or mechanisms or maybe certain things about them that I don't like.
Yeah.
And it goes against the game. You know, and too many of those things is going to creep it closer and closer and closer to the hot steaming garbage category, which at the moment, touch wood, only has one resident, which is Star Wars Rivals.
Spoiler, but
So there you go. But yeah, what about you? Have you actually got things that you sort of don't like or that might make you edge towards that?
I think I'm in the same sort of line as you have. Like I have a couple that I can relate to, but it's very much like James was with the last episode where he hadn't played many bad games. He couldn't do the top 5. I haven't played that many games where it's become hot steaming garbage, but it has led towards that. And I'll throw in the reasons why, and obviously you guys can argue with it on the topic we're about to do as well. So what about you, James?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things that would edge me towards thinking that a game was hot steaming garbage.
Steaming
garbage. A lot of them we've mentioned in previous episodes, like unrelated, but you know, it's sort of like they're fairly standard things, I would say. That, but like Jason said earlier, the more of these things that appear in one game, the further towards hot steaming garbage it's going to go.
Yeah,
most definitely.
No, that's fair. Well, I mean, I don't really have much else I want to say before we really start having the discussion. So I'm not sure how we start this, but before we do, I do want to mention one thing, and it is something else that is hot steaming garbage.
Okay.
And I was reminded of it right before we went live, and we need to address this because this could be a topical discussion all by itself.
Okay.
And the day in which we're recording this is the 4th of July, Independence Day. It's also, for those that don't know, it's our voting day in the UK. And we recently, at UK Games Expo, we did a vote online, which was based on our hauls from the show. And I put it up to the listeners and the viewers and all of that as to who had the best haul. And what happened was, in my opinion, proof that democracy does not work. Because James, with his solitary game...
No, what happened was you put that poll up as a laugh, expecting it to go one way, and it went another way.
And the people voted.
They did. Now, is that not just democracy not working, right?
It's kind of weird
because it's obvious that wasn't the best haul.
That means James is Prime Minister of the podcast now.
It doesn't work like that. This isn't like Pitch Black where you keep what you kill, you know. But yes,
Prime Minister of the podcast. Like, yay! I've got a 5-year term.
All from buying one board game. Well done, sir.
I mean, I guess congratulations is in order, James, that you managed to be voted essentially in by having the best haul by purchasing one game, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And do you agree with it? I don't think he had the best haul.
No, I don't agree with it because I spent shit tons of money to. Sorry, beep, beep. Sorry. No, I don't agree with it because I spent tons of money to try and win that poll, Jason, and I came third.
No,
I came third out of the three of us.
Yeah, that's not the first time you've said that, is it?
Unfair. Which was one of the games I bought.
That's why.
Totally unfair.
You
Democracy.
jinxed yourself by buying unfair.
Oh, it's only a matter of hours till we find out who your Prime Minister is as well.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. But we don't talk about politics here, other than the fact that
James.
Democracy doesn't work, obviously.
It doesn't, clearly not.
So, James, well done for getting your sympathy votes and somehow becoming the lord of game halls. I mean, he'll probably get voted in as the best hall from Essen, and he's not even going to be there.
Well, we have to up our game next year, Jason.
Yes, we do. We do.
Oh, yeah, what's the point? Because I'll just buy 2.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I reckon he should buy the 2, and we'll just buy 1.
James, you've just let on a thing there. And we picked up on that.
He's going to buy 2.
Depending on how much we buy, he will buy 2. So the more
That's
we
his master
buy,
plan.
No.
he buys more.
See, the logic that people had was that I doubled my games collection. So as long as I double the games collection, then
Yeah. Well, actually, in that case, I'm going to join you on that, James, by saying you are quite right in what you say, because you constantly remind people that you had 2 games previously. So you didn't double your games collection. But now you've agreed that that's exactly what you do. So next year, you actually need to buy 3.
oh, shame. I will still laugh at the crazy amounts of money you're spending with my 3 games.
Yes, yes. Well, we'll make sure they're the most expensive games there is going. Not hot, steaming
Steaming garbage.
Oh. What have I
Trademark.
started?
That's our saying, guys.
What have I started? But anyway, let's talk about what we're actually here to talk about. Let's talk about the topic of the things that lead a game to becoming hot steaming garbage, or just bad, I guess, or just not as good as they could be. I think we've done something similar to this in the past, but clearly we've got a lot of new listeners recently. I think it's time to, I guess, clarify
Revisit.
what the hell
Revisit.
happened last week and how we got to those decisions.
And
So,
also take the topic with a grain of salt. These are our opinions.
yeah,
All right. So
yeah, they're right.
try not to get too offended by it, guys.
People shouldn't get offended.
No, they shouldn't.
If you're getting offended, you're listening to the wrong people.
Wrong people or the wrong episode because it's atopical. So
Yeah, just let me know what your favourite game is. I'll find a way of just ripping it to shreds in some way, shape, or form, even if it's my favourite. So where do we start?
That would be the thing that you rip it to shreds on. It was like, well, it's my favourite, so it can't be that good.
Yeah, exactly. You disagree with me a lot of the time, so therefore, can't be that good. Where do we start? Where do we start on this? Because I don't know. Other than the first thing I look at when I open a box, and which is, of course, the rulebook.
Yeah, that's where I was about to start. That's probably, ironically, my number one thing for what is going to push a game towards hot steaming garbage. Because even if the game itself is technically really good, if the information you've required to learn that game is rubbish, what good is a really good game if no one understands how to play it?
Yeah, I mean, it is very, very true. You know, I think we've said it countless times now that rulebooks really are make or break.
Yeah.
When it comes to games, because if I can't learn the game because the rulebook is garbage, then
puts you off playing.
I'm either not going to be able to play it, full stop. Yeah, there's been a couple of games that we've talked about recently, Ant, that we're trying to learn, but the rulebook is maybe not as good as it could be.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not as clear as it could be. So, I mean, that's, again, if a rulebook is really, really bad, then it could easily put a game into the hot steaming garbage category. You know, again, touch wood, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I can.
What
From
was
your
that?
collection, Hogs of War. You were really excited for that when it delivered, and the rulebook puts you right off.
And the Darwin game you had.
They did. They stopped me from playing it, but because I didn't play it, I couldn't put the games in the sort of bad game category.
But I would say that for the purpose of this conversation, they have, because you've never even played the game because the rulebook was that bad. So,
But does that make the game bad, or does it make it just makes you not want to play it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because that's the thing. I've seen plenty of people playing both those games, and they do look like they're having a good time. They're enjoying the game. So it's just sort of like, I think those ones were definitely rulebooks that were just too much for me, or maybe too much for me at the time. Yeah, because that's the other thing when it comes to rulebooks. I'm notoriously bad at trying to read a rulebook the first time when I'm horrendously tired, because I tend to only read when I'm trying to make myself even more tired to go to sleep. So that's probably not the best thing. That's more on me. But yeah, I guess if it has put me off playing the game, it's going to put a sour taste in my mouth.
but it's pushing towards that thing. So it's like, if we're going by the basis of this topical is like things that are going to stack up, and the more of these things that are in, the more it's pushing there. It's like, yeah, bad rulebook's definitely one.
Yeah.
And if it's bad enough that it's caused you not to play the game, I'd have to say that's a big one. Because from my perspective, if that scenario had happened to me, I would then be feeling very bitter about that game because I've spent money on it and I've not even played it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Doubly so if it was a game that I was looking forward to.
I know we've probably asked you before, Ant, but memory escapes me. Have you had any that were that terrible that you've not played?
Oh, most definitely. The issue with instructions for me is that, like the both of you, I attempt the book as always, but if I'm reading through it, then having to go onto YouTube to try and get out what I couldn't get out of the book, that is an instant problem with the book itself, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why am I going onto YouTube when I should be getting the info I need from that book? When there's a video, I mean, the video is probably better because it can show you and teach you at the same time.
Yeah.
But then why have an instruction book if that's the case? Just have a QR code, scan that, and watch the video.
I mean, there are a lot of companies that have been doing that
Absolutely,
now. I know
yeah.
Inside Up Games do that.
And that just goes to show, like, how difficult is this game to explain if it's on a book? And like you, that puts me off
Yeah.
because we tried to learn one recently, one that's behind me. I don't know if you've had any
I've not tried yet.
tried yet, but good Lord. I mean, reading that book, it's impossible. And it put me off learning it. I was like, here, Jason, now you give it a try.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That is fair. I am going to try and sit down and learn it.
Because I hate to think that I've got the game down, I've read the book, I've got the game down, and then we start playing it, and then I keep going back to the book.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've not got what I wanted out of that book. So I can totally relate to what you're saying about the instructions, definitely.
Yeah, so I think, it's not just whether the rules themselves are hard to understand or anything like that.
It's not that. It's like, are you allowed to do that? Or can I do that? Because as gamers, the three of us, I don't think there's ever a playthrough we've done where we're like, can I do that? Am I allowed to do that? Even when I take my turn, I ask you guys, can I do this? Can I do that? And then you let me know if I can.
Yeah.
So there's always a way just to clarify, isn't it?
Yeah,
with it,
exactly.
Isn't it?
And, it is sometimes it's about the layout of a rule book. The rules can be written really, really well, but if it's laid out or designed in a really bad way, it's not ideal.
No.
I think Age of Comics was one of the ones I've mentioned recently. It was like the rules are actually very clear, but they've tried to lay out the rule book in the style of an old-fashioned comic, and that means that rather than reading like a normal book would, they're kind of all over the place with like speech bubbles and things like that. It's not it's cool, thematic, get it, but it's not helpful to me because it's like, where am I reading next? And then I'm starting to read this and it's like, oh, well, hang on a minute. It's telling me about something that it's already referred to somewhere else that I didn't know I was supposed to read.
Yeah.
So layout of rulebooks can be a bit of an issue, wording on it. If a rulebook is written in a language that isn't native to where we are, English, so translations can be a bit of an issue.
Yep, most definitely.
I know anyone can go on to Google and translate stuff, but it's not the best translation.
But why would you have to do that? If you bought the English edition, why am I going on Google Translate to translate even more?
So, it makes you wonder, have they just skimped out on the translation side of it? There's people that do this for a living. You would have thought that maybe they would do it properly, and if it doesn't translate directly, you then have to change it. There's been a couple of occasions that we've seen stuff like that happen. Colorations of rule books as well. There's been some rule books that I found that have been pretty good, but I can't read them because, I'm trying to think of a game off the top of my head, but I know there was one that it was like a black rule book. The actual page was black, and then they used neon writing. I was like, I can't, and it was still tiny little, font. And I'm like, I can't read this because you've got that glow effect behind
you're trying to bring the book close to you so you can actually read the thing.
I can't read that. How the hell is anyone supposed to read this? And then I remember that game specifically because one of those, do you remember you could get like those pens that you sort of hold above a body of text and it scans it and then reads it. It's for like blind people, I believe, is what it was originally designed for, but or something along those lines. And even that couldn't decipher what the words were. So that's really bad. Instant garbage.
Instant garbage.
But the game itself wasn't bad. I remember that much of it, but can't have been that good because I don't remember the game and I don't have it anymore. But it was one of mine at one point. So I could go back on my list.
Yeah, I think we can officially say it would stop us playing the game more than making the game garbage. It's not the game's fault that the instructions are terrible.
Exactly. I think Walking Dead No Sanctuary was another one.
Oh, that's another one you owned, wasn't it?
Was,
yeah.
It was bad, but it never quite made it into the garbage category.
Oh, okay.
It was very, very bad, but that was a terrible rulebook. Terrible rulebook. Kind of goes on for me from rulebooks because I find a lot of games either have minimal playtesting or I don't want to say zero playtesting because that is, in my opinion, physically impossible. You couldn't design a game and then just release it.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be playtested at some point, even if it's just yourself and your family, still a playtest. But that, to me, is a problem because there's too many games that are evidently not playtested as thoroughly as they should be. And by that, I mean, you need to playtest it with more than just your family, your friends, and even your local game group. You need to playtest it with people that have zero connection to the game. We talk about UK Games Expo.
Yep.
You have the playtest area there. The whole point of that is people that do not know you, do not know your game, are going to sit down and they're going to play your game and then give you feedback on their experience. So yeah, for me, playtesting is vital. I've said this countless times. And there's too many games that, you know, they talk about it in the rule book. For example, as, this game has been playtested for, 7,537 times.
Yeah.
But by who? Because I've played your game and there's faults here, and here. And I find it very hard to believe that in your 7,000, whatever I just said, number of playtests, not one person has picked this up. Because I picked it up within 2 turns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, if you're only ever going to playtest with people that know you or are assimilated to you in some way, shape or form,
They're not going to be honest with you. They're just going to say it's good all the time.
I guess it's kind of, you'll get some feedback from it because that's why you're gaming with them. However, they will maybe soften the edges a little bit. They might glaze over some things. Be like, this is...
It wouldn't be as honest as a stranger would say.
Yeah, this is not great, but I'm going to sprinkle some sugar on it and go, but it's not too bad.
Like Salt Bay.
Exactly, a bit of Salt Bay. Whereas someone who doesn't know you might be inclined to go, no, this mechanism right here is hot steaming garbage. Mm-hmm. However, you could do this, this, and this. Have you thought about that? Why didn't you do it? What's the reason? Blah, 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 blah. You know, you're going to get a bit more of a dialogue from someone you don't know who's not invested with your product. And I guess it's kind of the same with picking components as well and identifying quality issues. Because if you're connected to the game, you're going to think everything about that game is amazing when it might not be.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's all I'm going to say about playtesting. Do you guys have anything else you want to, one, add to that, or two, move on to another point?
We can move on if you want.
Yep, move on.
I think we've done enough for play testing. But no, I get your point on it. That would definitely make it hot steaming for me.
Yeah, if it's evidently clear that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on. And I'm gonna hand the floor over to you. Have you got something that you want to say?
I have, and this can be controversial.
Ooh.
We like a bit of controversy.
We do, but this might lead on to next week's episode.
It might. But one of my factors of a game that could be hot steaming garbage, or main factor for me, is its theme.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I bring this up because if you look at my game collection, it has a mixture, but it has a majority of a certain thing. When I try and buy or purchase a game, for example, when I look at it, I'm trying not to think of myself would play it, is the people around me would play it as well.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to find a game that's about fishing, for example, it's...
Yeah.
Who would want to play that?
Yeah.
Unless it had some sort of like amazing mechanic that want me to bring it to the table. It's not going to come to the table, is it? I got scarred from playing a game in Essen 2 years ago. I did not care for its theme, did not care about its gameplay, did not care for the goal of it. To a degree, it kind of offended me to put it into a board game. I'm not going to go too far into it because, again, that's another episode. But that really aggravated me that, I didn't want to play it in the first place. But we all give games a chance.
Yes.
So I thought, let's see if it'll eat my words and give it a go. And I just did not care for it at all, dude.
Okay.
Just really could not care for it. It's not my alley. It's not my thing. And You know, I'm glad to a degree that I played it because I can say I played it, but I don't want to go near games like that ever again.
Right.
So I am very picky when it comes to my games.
Yes.
And I always technically, to a degree, research them in a way. Like I always look them up on YouTube or something to see, if that would be good to come to the table, or if it's something I really want to play. But if I had a game like that, I don't think I can force my friends to try and play that, regardless if I like that theme of it, because I just know someone's not going to like it.
Yeah.
You know, and that for me is what comes to it as a hot, steaming garbage choice of a theme.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I would ever want to put people through something like that.
And that really is a personal thing,
Yes, absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not taking it from everyone else's. I'm sure like you guys have your themes and I'm not going against yours at all whatsoever, or anyone else's that listen to the show. But just for me, I think it's because I was scarred from that specific game
Yeah.
is why themes for me are a main factor for hot steaming garbage.
No, that's fair. That's fair. James, I know you mentioned last week how important theme is to you within a game.
Though I have, like I'd say, there are probably certain themes out there that I would straight up just go,
No.
not
Yeah,
interested.
absolutely.
But I also, at the same time, with that being said, have tried to drum it into my head, as Ant said, you've got to play it at least once.
Yeah.
Because, again, while I'm struggling to think of examples to actually pull out, there have been certain games that at first glance I've walked past and gone, I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah.
But then someone said, well, we're getting out and there's a slot at the table. And I've sat down, played it and gone, all right, the theme's not what I'm interested in, but that surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had one recently, actually, because it's usually rather than you happen to have walked past the table and there's a thing. It's usually me dragging you into a game and just be like, no, you have to play it. That's usually how Monday nights work, isn't it? But there was one recently that we played. I think it was one of Dave's games.
Yeah.
Can't remember. Was it the one we played this week? Viking Raiders game.
No, I mean, it was a Viking themed game. So on first looking at that, I thought it wasn't the theme. It was, I think this is going to be a little bit too quote unquote basic.
Yeah.
Again, and it was enjoyable and it was very basic, but it was more that. It's like, because I like a Viking theme. So
Yeah.
it wasn't that one. I can't remember for the life of me, but there was one that I was just sort of having no interest in this theme.
Yeah.
And then we played it and I was like, okay, I was a bit surprised by that. I actually enjoyed the game.
Yeah. Fair. I can't remember what it was, but I know there's been a few. So
Yeah.
Theme for me is fairly important. You know, I'm probably the biggest Omni gamer at the table, where I will literally play anything at least.
Oh yeah,
once.
I mean, from your collection, you have a vast more variety than I do. I think I'm just so picky when it comes to board games now. As much as I would like to try and spend money on everything, I don't think I could.
It's a bit more understandable, I guess, when you sort of
When
say
you're
you don't.
purchasing, there's a difference between being an Omni gamer in terms of playing games and an Omni gamer in terms of buying. I wouldn't spend money on games I wasn't sure about.
Exactly.
I'm not a gambler. Never have been. So it's like, if I'm not certain about this game, I'm not parting with cash for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I qualify as a gambler, because I'm pretty sure a gambler has to win occasionally. So I
mean, you do.
I definitely don't
I
fall
would-
in that category.
I'd say, again, it's more of a thing for another thing, but I would say that's also my aversion to things like crowdfunding, because it's
Because out the three of us, you take the gamble more than we do.
so it is just sort of
Because I see a theme out, that's it, I'll do it. But then you're like, I'll try everything.
Yeah.
And it will come to the table, whatnot, and still give it a try.
Yeah. No, that's fair. But yeah, I can understand why theme would be something that could potentially lead them down Garbageville.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some things out there that have eaten my words, like Wingspan, for example. Don't care anything about birds, but what a game! It is a good game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are certain ones out there that are definite no-nos for me. And like James said, Automatic, no.
Nice. James, have you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I've got one that's going to, for me personally, is going to vastly push it into the hot steaming garbage, or in the direction of hot steaming garbage, and that is, and I'm sure listeners of this podcast have heard me mention it before, which is complexity for complexity's sake.
Okay. Yep.
If I'm playing a game and it blatantly feels like they've shoehorned as many mechanics in for no reason other
For the
than
sake of
to
it.
shoehorn them in.
Yeah.
Or if I'm looking at it and going, right, it wants you to go from A to B to C to D to E when the middle steps are just completely superfluous and unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like, if I'm starting to think like that about a game, it is rapidly moving towards that. It's like, this is pointless.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you sort of, it actually ties into one of my things that I was going to bring up, which was, of course, excessive game times.
Yeah.
And that tends to come when there's, a myriad of
Yeah.
like complexity just shoved into the game.
Yeah.
When
It's
you
like-
kind of
and-
feel like I've got from A to B or I've got from A to C, but as you said, I could have easily done this and bypassed B,
Yeah.
but the game won't let me bypass B because it wants me to do this, but it's made no difference to the game whatsoever
Yeah.
for anyone. And it's just sort of like, it's just an extra step that they have put into the game for no apparent reason. Doesn't need to be there. It's added time. It's added thought that wasn't, I could have been thinking about another strategy which might have been more fun. I might have achieved more with that strategy should I have been able to take that route. Again, all of these are going to tie into each other. But again, I added in player agency. If I've got no decisions whatsoever and the game is telling me you must follow the path, do not stray from the path. It's like walking through IKEA.
Yeah.
You do not stray from the path.
One
Ironic.
way only.
That ironically was going to be one of my other ones, which is games that effectively play themselves.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just here for the ride. It's sort of like, well, what's the fun in that?
Yeah. You remember the old school Xbox games you used to get with be like, watch video, press X. Watch another video, press X. It's like, this is a fun game.
I want
Press
to play the
X.
damn game.
Yeah. Press X when prompted. Hot, steaming garbage.
But yeah, onto my original one, which is complexity for complexity's sake. It's like, I don't want it to sound like I don't enjoy complex games. I do.
Yeah.
In some regards, I know it seems a little bit opposite to what I've just said. It's like, I actually like complexity in my games.
Yeah.
So I like to think when I'm playing the games. But that complexity has to be there for a reason.
Yeah,
be it
not for the
either-
sake of it.
Be it clever mechanics or part of the theme. If it's just there for the sake of being there, basically as padding
Yeah.
to extend the game time or justify a price,
Yeah.
which would probably be my main complaint about it. It's like, I feel like you've shoved some stuff in here that doesn't really make sense, but you're doing it to justify that price point.
Yeah. And I guess there are obviously exceptions to that, I think, in the sense of if they've put in an added complexity, then my expectation is that it's creating another path to victory or another, replay value option.
Yeah.
It should be there for a purpose.
Yeah.
If it doesn't serve a purpose, then it's complexity for complexity's sake.
Yeah. Thing is, you could usually tell when a game has just shoehorned it in because it's just like, it's usually badly implemented for a start.
Yeah.
It's usually very clunky mechanic where it's like, I've played games where this mechanic works beautifully and it's sapping my will to live in this particular game.
Yes.
And it makes no sense because you should be able to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's making you take a left turn when I can already see that my objective is straight ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it wants you to turn left and go all about the houses to get to your objective. But because, again, you're not... That complexity needs to add a second path. It's like, yes, I can see my objective ahead of me. It doesn't want me to go straight ahead. Fair enough. But I should have turn left or turn right. It shouldn't just be just turn left.
Yeah.
Like I said, there should be some justification for that level of complexity, where be it a risk-reward thing. It's like, well, you could take the easier path, but there's a risk associated with taking that easier
Yeah.
path.
Yeah.
There's always is, isn't there?
Yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way.
That's a good pick, mate.
That is, yeah. I very, very, very good choice there, sir. Very good choice. I think I covered a few of mine in there as well. I wasn't going to dwell on those too much anyway, which was, of course, the excessively long gameplay. It's become pretty apparent that I favour games that are between half an hour and an hour and a half long. Anything more than an hour and a half long, you've got a hard job at selling that game to me. It needs to be damn good and justifiably good.
Well, that's half my Kickstarters I need to cancel there, James.
But, if they're going to do it, it's doable. but you've got to keep.
You've got to enjoy
player-
it. You've got to enjoy it to carry on.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to immerse that character. You've got to keep them engaged. If downtime, not great. I mean, that's another thing I haven't actually written down here.
Yeah,
If a game has way too much downtime, you're already starting to come off the path of good game and switching to the bad part.
Yeah, excessive downtime is as proved by more and more we've been playing games which have things like asymmetric play or triggered events where something happening in your turn causes everyone else to do something. It's like, that's more mechanics like that, please, to keep the engagement up.
Yeah. So you could argue that is complexity for complexity's sake, but it's not.
It's not.
Because it is creating, it's dealing with another issue by adding that little bit of complexity. And it's not complex.
Yeah.
It's another level, yes, but it has dealt with an issue that would have been prevalent.
The thing is, like, so that's actually a good example of complexity for complexity's sake there. So most of the games that we've had with that, especially the ones that, like, you do something and it triggers the other players to do something, that thing it triggers is usually short and sharp.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's starting to snowball, it's like, oh, well, you've done this, but you need to reference this, and now you need to check this list, and
Suddenly that
complexity has gone way overboard. It's like, was that all really necessary?
Yeah.
Because I'm now losing track of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
And it's actually made the downtime worse because while you've effectively stopped your turn to watch what everyone else is doing.
Yeah. The ironic thing, I was thinking of an example while you were doing that, and it was the way you were describing it, which just had me thinking, Earth. There's a lot of stuff going on in Earth. One thing can trigger another, something could trigger another player's stuff, and so on and so forth. But it works. And then now you've got the Earth expansion coming out, which I wasn't a fan of because it added in the extra complexity of a few extra mechanisms which took it out of being asymmetric. So yes, you are, in the normal one, you are triggering other things going on, but when in this new asymmetric one, it's going to start triggering someone else to do something, but a specific person, that person then has to do something. They could then trigger something that might make me do something, which might then trigger something that James. You can't all do it at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just too much. It's too much going on.
But it's like there are, in those asymmetric versions, again, complexity for complexity's sake, it's like, it's all well and good when they do it for downtime, but it's sort of like Jason does something which triggers every other player to do something, except now that during that triggering, I've done something that causes Ant to do something.
Yeah.
And, that sort of level of complexity where it's just like, I've lost track of who's doing what, and now Ant's done something that triggered that I need to do something.
Is it more the fact that you're trying to keep track with stuff is what would make it garbage for you?
Yeah, because it's just, again, that's complexity for complexity's sake. You've got triggers all over the place.
Yeah.
Again, we played a game recently that was very much like that, whereas I think Earth does it perfectly. You've triggered a certain colour, so run through your tableau and just fire off that colour.
Yeah.
But it's Jason's turn that triggers all the other players.
Yeah.
In this particular game, like I said, you start doing that, but one of the things that I've triggered might trigger a card on your tableau as well.
Yeah.
And it just starts snowballing from there. And
So it's effect after effect.
And like I said, there's so much going on that Jason's actually stopped his turn to pay attention to what everyone else is doing. And it's like, instead of solving that issue of downtime, it's made the downtime worse because, right, okay, we finished doing this. Oh, I haven't actually finished my turn yet.
Yeah. And then you start doing something and then it does it again. Something similar like that. Yeah, it's not great. So yeah, that's complexity, excessively long games. It all ties in together.
Yeah, excessive downtime.
I obviously covered no player agency there. There are some games where I just feel like I have zero control over what the hell is going on.
Yeah, the game might as well be playing itself.
Yeah, that leads into heavily based luck games or games that are just solely based on luck. They are, to be honest, on the border of hot steaming garbage before I've even played them, because it's like...
Is that when like a dice determines it for you then?
Well, yeah, when there is literally no control at all. It could be... At that point, you might as well be playing a game where I've got 4 D6 dice, I roll them, I get a 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4. James rolls them, he gets 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you get one
All sixes, baby.
you get 2 sixes and a thing. You win. Game over. What's the point in that?
Yeah.
I don't mind. I mean, I won. So
How's that a game? How is that a game?
Yeah,
Well,
very
it's
true,
not.
very true.
That's it is a game, but that's gambling.
Yeah, it is. But you could take that same game, right, and make it better. Yeah, you essentially make it Yahtzee because you add in a push your luck mechanism. That I've rolled this. I could pass and take that as my number, or I could re-roll certain dice, but have like a rule in there. Is like if you roll any doubles, you're out.
Yeah.
You know, you just very easily have just changed a frankly non-existent game, because that's not a game, or very boring game, and added a little bit of complexity and dealt with an issue.
Yep.
So
Yeah, as luck-based elements are usually, like you said, push your luck. You know, they're an element of the game. They're not the whole game.
yeah. Games that are solely luck make me not give a word that, you know, rhymes with luck.
Mine's yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, and yeah, it just puts it sour taste in my
Automatic.
mouth straight away.
Garbage.
You know, what's the point? If it's just solely luck, it's not worth it. Games that have too much luck as well, you know, I like to know that I've earned my victory in the game, not just got lucky.
Yeah.
You know, occasionally it's nice to win a game on pure luck. But,
Again, there are games where it benefits it, but it's sort of like, again, it has to tie in very much with the theme if there's a lot of luck-based stuff in it.
No, that's fair. What else do I want to add? Right, okay. I'm going to do this without getting angry. I promise.
No,
Can I throw
Grant.
something in before you
Please
do that
do.
then? So I was going to ask you guys, does a genre of game instant garbage for you? For example, I know, Jason, you're not a fan of party games. James, I know you're not a fan of dexterity games. So is that an instant garbage because you don't like that type of genre of a game, or?
See, I'm all right with dexterity game. I think we said the differences. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
It's going for me, and again, this is personal. Real time
Okay.
is going to push it very close to
Yeah.
that. I despise real time games.
Yeah, no, that's fair. There are certain mechanisms that definitely make me avoid games.
Okay.
Doesn't put me off playing them, but it puts them immediately into a category of looking around the room. Is there another game with the space available?
So let's say we are storming through the preview night of UKGE and you see party game. Now, do you instantly turn away and go, nope, garbage because it's party? Or do you take that little bit of interest just to see what it's like?
Right.
I will be honest. We'll use the party games because party games actually aren't my least favourite.
No, but I know you're not a big fan of them.
I'm not a big fan of them, but yeah, you can usually see them at a glance that they're going to be a party.
Yeah.
It would not stop me from looking at the game, but if there was something else next to it, I would more than likely be drawn to that a lot quicker. You know, there's been times I've sort of looked at it and gone, yeah,
Move on.
move on.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely, like I said earlier, I tried to drum it into my head. It's like, no, you've got to try. You've got to try it at least once. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to dump it. It's going to put it in that category of I'm expecting it to be hot
To be
steaming
garbage, yeah.
and it's got to be something special to break that illusion.
Like Crocodile.
I love Crocodile.
Yeah,
I know, but that's the dexterity game that broke it, mate.
yeah, exactly.
No, just interesting. I thought I'd ask about genre because I didn't know if it was like an automatic no or
If I was
might try
going
it.
to actually say, right, so there's the mechanisms that for me are very close to being just pure garbage is anything that has roll to move. I'm just so past that. And while I do have a couple of games that are in my I like game category that have this as well, I'm still not a particular fan of it, and it really is a put off, which is player elimination.
was going to bring that up, actually. I'm glad you did. Yeah.
There are, as I said, there's a few like for example, I have 10 Tricks, which is a player elimination game.
Okay.
That I would not say is a bad game. It's actually quite a good game. But that was my gamble with that when I bought it, because I knew it had player elimination, and I was like, I'm not sure. But I gave it a go, and the rest of the gameplay made up for it, which was good. But yeah, player elimination, big no for me. So yeah, that's that. I think
No,
that
yeah,
answers your
you've
question.
answered. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the thing that started this, right? Star Wars Rivals. I said there was a few things
Here we go, folks.
about it, right? And I'll clarify them now. Cash cows in games. That it just. And when I say cash cow, I don't mean an IP based game that's actually pretty good. I don't class them as a cash cow because they put the effort in to making a good game.
Yeah.
A cash cow game for me is where the evidence is there that they have done absolutely nothing or the bare minimum in order to be able to publish this game.
It's like, we've got all these figures. What do we do with them? Let's base a game around it.
Yeah. And I even said it as part of my sort of rant. I even gave them the alternative that they should have taken, which was, of course, don't make a game out of it. Just make it a collectible figure with the collectible cards. You know, they would have probably made more money doing that. But that's the truth of it. That instantly makes my blood boil. It's cash cows. It's like, no, this is a niche hobby, right? To come in to a niche hobby and try and take the mickey by just trying to, milk the cow for all it's worth and making its udders steam while doing it.
Just not garbage.
It's,
It's at the steam part. So when you're talking about cash cow, Jason, is it the part where you've just seen it and gone, that's a cash cow, or have you gone to play it and then gone, that's a cash cow?
I have never immediately looked at a game and gone, that's a cash cow.
Right.
I will always, before ever saying something is a cash cow, I will always,
Even if it's evident of
always
that,
play it.
you would still give it a
Yeah.
go, yeah.
Yeah, I will always play it because that is, in my mind, it's one of those things that you shouldn't make a claim about it without knowing. Because, yeah, you could potentially damage the reputation of a good game. You know, I'm sure there's been plenty out there that I could have looked at and gone, yeah, that's probably just cash cow. You might get the occasional passing comment. There's like, it's probably just a cash cow, but I'll hold the judgment till I've played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good example from that company as well, because it's like they have put out some good games.
Absolutely,
And some good
yeah.
IP-based games. It's just unfortunate that one was a gigantic cash cow.
Yeah, exactly. And
Probably put them out of business as well.
And I even said, didn't I, in last week, it was like we were playing Jurassic World, Legacy of Isla Nublar, could easily be looked upon and gone, that's a very expensive game. It's a very expensive game. That is a blatant cash cow. No, it's not. It's actually a very, very good game.
It is a very good game. I quite liked the Indiana Jones one that you had.
Yes, that is good. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So there are ways of doing games based on IPs, which are usually the ones that will fall in that cash cow category, because you're not going to milk a cash cow if people don't know what the hell it is.
Oh, I mean, the original game from the Rising series, Thanos Rising.
Yeah.
That's not a cash cow. That was a very well thought out game that fit its IP.
Yeah, exactly. So blatant cash cows. They're when they show zero or minimal sign of design evidence or intelligence, or just people have copied and pasted some pictures and written some random text underneath and just gone, this is a game. That's not good at all. Blatant disregard for themes and mechanisms. That annoys me. That puts it towards the bad game category. Examples of that, I guess, kind of works with the cash cow thing. Because it's got a theme on it and they don't care about that theme. It's just there to sell.
Just to sell.
To sell some copies.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were going to try and defend that game and say, oh, yeah, it was aimed at kids, it's like, even then, I still think it was slightly insulting, as the basic premise of the game was, can you do
math?
And can you do basic addition?
I mean, you could argue there, is like, does that game have any player agency? My answer is no. Yet in theory it does, because you are making decisions and it does affect the outcome. But as you said, it's just math, right? That's not player agency. It's who can get the most numbers, who can get the highest number. And going back to the luck factor, I could do that exact thing by rolling a damn die.
There is really... See, it's, again, like you said, the bare minimum of player agency, though. It's like maybe the first move, but after that...
Yeah.
it's pretty much, it gives the illusion, I would say, it gives the illusion of player agency. But like I said, after the initial move, it's sort of like you're just going through the motions.
Yeah. I think the final thing that I'm going to bring up, and this one is probably the least likely to put a game into a garbage category, and that is, of course, the components of a game. And I say it's the least likely because I find it quite hard to put a game into say that the game is garbage just purely based on its components, right? A game could be the best game in the world. Perfect example, Food Chain Magnate. Unanimously voted by a lot of people. Well, not unanimous, is it? It's voted by a lot of people as the best game of all time, but also the blandest and one of the most poorly produced games of all time. So
it's like those Euros that are just brown and beige and just like you could have done more with that.
And you look, they've just done the rebrand version, the all special, all singing, all dancing version of it, and that
why didn't you do that in the first place?
Needs to be the best game of all time because you've taken what people say is the best game of all time and you've made it better by improving the one thing that people did not like about the original. So theoretically, we might have a contender for best game of all time now. But was it fair to kind of knock it down that much because of its poor components?
I'm going to actually almost disagree with you on this one because there have been games that we've featured on here before where we've, during our game highlights, where we've even said the words, it's a real shame because the game is good, but the production value is just not there.
Yeah.
Which means that I would say bad components wouldn't necessarily, not unless those components are, I don't want to say integral to the gameplay. So let's say, for example, like, just to pull a random example, like a spinner or something. Like, some games have this thing that you spin to randomize a decision.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if there's poor production quality and the thing doesn't spin properly, that might make the game hot steaming garbage because it's actually affecting the gameplay. But as conversely, I think it was your particular copy of Dice Hospital, I think, had where the meeples were quite rough.
Yeah.
So the production value is not really there in that. That's some manufacturing errors. Didn't affect the gameplay.
No.
Still a very good game.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, isn't it? Because it did affect the gameplay in the sense of you would notice it, but it didn't put me off the game. So that's why I'm just sort of like, it's not, as I say, it does contribute to it.
Yeah.
But if production was absolutely horrendous,
I suppose,
but nothing else was wrong with the game, everything else about the game was absolutely perfect, production was terrible, it wouldn't make me say this game is hot steaming garbage. It would, however, potentially stop me wanting to play it.
Yeah, it's I think components is situational because I've just thought of a better example and I can't remember what game it was in, but it was one of yours, but I remember it where the production on the cards, the colours were slightly different, so you could tell certain cards in someone's hands because the back, some of the cards were slightly different. The colour was off. I can't remember what game it was, but something like that is going to ruin a game experience because even though it's a hidden hand game, I know you've got that card because the colour's off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because my copy of Avalon does that because I've got the base game and then I've got the add-on and the add-on's darker shades, so people will know that that's the thing. So now I have to get card sleeves to cover the backs now because of that error. So if it's for a game very thematic like Avalon, you're going to need that covered. Yeah. Because you can't let people know your identity, isn't it?
It's
so I definitely get what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's really bugging me that I can't remember what game it was because it was. But I remember there was a certain set of cards and they were just slightly like I said, they were just slightly different shades of brown, if I remember correctly. The back of these cards, like, I know you've got one of two cards in your hand, and I shouldn't.
Yeah, I can't remember what game that was, to be fair. But I know, I understand what you mean there. Again, I don't think it's enough to make say a game is bad.
Yeah,
but production could well
It could
potentially tank a game to the point where
it
it's
could head
not gonna get to
towards the
table.
hot steaming on. But like I said, if the game's not too bad, then it brings it back down, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got other minor things wrong with the game and you add in production issues, it's all adding up.
It is going to, but again, it's one of those, I think you said, where it's situational, and it's also one of those things of, is it a one-off, or are lots of people basically reporting back saying, hey, the production on this game isn't great, or was I just unlucky and I got a bad copy?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Anthony, have you got anything else that you want to bring up? Because I think I'm done. I can't think of anything else.
No, I mean, I was going to mention if certain IPs put you off as well, if that was going to be another thing. Jason, I know you're not the massive fan of Dune, but again, you don't go to that straight away, do you? It's the last four.
Yeah.
I mean, is that just because it's the IP you don't want to play it? It doesn't make it hot steaming garbage. It's just the fact that you don't want to play it.
I would not say that game is bad. In fact, I've spoken very highly of like a lot of the Dune games.
Yeah.
Because I can see that, these games are good. These games are very, very good
So
indeed.
it's not on the face of it's hot steaming garbage. It's not an IP you're comfortable with, so you won't go there.
That falls in one of those categories of, right, there's 3 games that have got spaces on the table. What have we got? Right, we've got Dune, we've got, Acropolis, and we've got something else that I've not played yet. Okay, well, I'm going to immediately negate Dune because I'm not interested in the theme.
Yeah.
I now got a decision between, do I want to learn a new game or do I want to play an old game? And, then it's like, well, what is the new game? What, compared to what was.
So IPs wouldn't necessarily go in hot steam, and it's just like, I've got no interest in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think for me, that's another one of those, if it's an IP I'm really not bothered or straight up don't like, it's like, I'm expecting the game to be hot steaming garbage. Yeah. It might surprise me.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, it's not so much he's pushing it down there, it's just that the bar is low.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. So I don't think IP is.
No, I just didn't know if you guys were like, another Marvel game. No, instant no, because I've played too many already. That's the sort of angle I was going for.
It's definitely a off-putting thing, especially with something like Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, I have not looked at a Marvel game for a long time now.
So it's not off-putting to say it's garbage straight away. It's just off-putting like, I don't want to play it.
I still wouldn't say that puts it in the garbage category. That just falls under IP burnout.
Yeah.
I would sum up in saying that I refuse to say anything is garbage unless I can confirm it is garbage, which means I have to have played these things.
Yeah.
I think what's like, as a sum up, if you like, it's like what I would consider hot steaming garbage is that I would walk away from that game going, I genuinely do not understand how anybody could like this.
Yeah.
Even the games like you said, those IP based games that I'm not fond of, or mechanics that I'm not fond of, or themes that I'm not fond of, I still have that awareness, if you like, that I don't like it, but I can see why others do.
Others do, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to fall into that hot steaming garbage, I would have to walk away from it or look at it and go, I don't see anybody like this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a well point there with the IP. Everyone has their favourites at the end of the day. Yeah. And I'm not going against that at all. I just didn't know if there was any specifically for you guys that would just be, no, it's hot steaming garbage, or no, I just don't want to play it. No. That's what I was trying to get at. But obviously it's leaning towards I don't want to play it aspect.
You might hear me say something along those lines in jest. Like, oh yeah, Dune, hot steaming garbage.
Yeah.
It's never meant.
No.
Like I mean, last week was evident. When I really don't like a game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, it will be very clear when I don't like it. Don't like a game, and that's the beauty of doing what we do, is we can say what we like about this stuff.
This is it.
And I always will continue to do that because I don't mince my words. I don't mince my words. The only mincing of my words that I do on here is that I can't speak the way I would usually speak because it is very profanity driven. As anybody who knows me,
have you got a bleep button on that?
They would all be done in post, but I find just the constant drown of beeping really annoying. So,
that's true.
So I don't want to put other people through that. So I do try my hardest not to bring profanity upon the show. It's not really a show for kids, but at the same time, I don't feel like we need
profanity.
constant profanity, and the occasional one here and there is fine. But you know, I've seen our demographic; it's of our age, so you know, we could easily switch over to that. But clearly, people quite like the fact that we don't. There are shows out there that are quite profanity driven.
Thanks for the little plug there, Jason.
I wasn't actually hinting at yours, but yeah, there are board game ones like that as well. There are obviously movies, TV shows, video games, and board game episodes.
Stop it.
See, I remember to plug your stuff. I don't plug my own, but
Weird that, isn't it?
yeah. Strange. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add? Because my voice
No,
is
do you know what? I
going
think we've done pretty good. I mean, it's not gone
too long.
and you know, we've not clashed as much, but some very, very, you know, good points there to it, you know. And yeah, I mean, a good topical.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you for that, Ant. I'm glad you brought it up because I was not in any shape to come up with anything today. However, James, I can.
I kind of picked it because I was interested to hear your sides as well.
Yeah.
Because I know I've been gaming with you guys for a few years now, but I still like to know your side of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why
How my mind works. Oh, you poor
Yes.
man. Poor
So
man.
nothing with miniature toys or maths. Now I know.
There you go. James, I'm going to reveal to you now. There is another topical in the pipeline at the request of Anthony. And that is a part 2 of a topical that we have done previously, which is, of course, the one where we talk about whether board games are toys.
This needs to happen. This was the topical. I remember driving on the way to my DJ gig shouting at the radio at the time. This needs to happen with me on it now.
So we've had an episode where I have ranted.
Yep.
And I think that's probably why I added it, because this is probably going to be the second rant, I think, on the.
You know what?
on
This
the
is a day of first, because I might actually have to do some research because it's been that long. I can't actually remember what I said.
Yeah, you don't want to make yourself seem like an idiot.
I know. I might have to
contradict yourself.
I might have to actually go dig that one out of the archives.
Every time Jason texted me, he said, give me some ideas for a topical. I give him a list, and always at the bottom is our board games toys part 2.
To be fair, there was actually quite a few on that list that I quite like the look of. There's one on here. The very first one that he put on the list was clearly gearing me up to have another ranting episode, which was about app-based games, because he already knows how I feel about them.
No.
There's the one where he obviously wants to rant for himself, which is fine. I won't mention the others, but they've been added to the list.
We'll see if they ever happen.
They've made the list. But yeah, that one will be coming up fairly soon. May not be the next one, because I've got an idea for the next one. But that will be coming up soon. So you can look forward to Ant having a rant. Ant the rant.
It's garbage.
It's garbage. So the real question here, guys, before we sign off is, when do we next think we're going to hear the term hot steaming garbage about a game?
Hopefully for not a few weeks, because
A few weeks.
because I think we're going to bore our audiences. We keep saying games are hot steaming garbage. This podcast is so negative.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's literally just a couple weeks.
No, the podcast is hot
Steaming garbage.
We don't want to go that far yet.
So if it,
We need to start producing t-shirts.
as much as I really don't want any kind of negative, reviews on any of the reviewing platforms, I would probably smile and laugh if I see a review that actually said this podcast is hot steaming.
Our work here is done.
If you're going to put that though, do us a favour, because it'll clearly be a joke. Make it 5 stars so that people actually know it's a joke, right? Not a 1 star.
Hot steaming garbage, 5 stars. The most in and out review ever.
Nice. I did get a comment from someone the other day who's obviously listening to one of our previous episodes and said they were in stitches at the one line that James had in one of our UK Games Expo episodes, where he was like pretending like we were talking about the hog roast.
And
he said something along the lines of, "Excuse me, sir, but would you mind if I borrow your pig?" It's just totally out of context for any kind of board game episode, but yeah, it's funny. It is funny. You get the occasional one-liners from us. The rest of it's just garbage.
Hot steaming.
Hot and steaming. Let's head off.
Let's do it.
I'm tired. I need bed.
And your throat needs to go.
And my throat needs to rest. So thank you very much for joining us. We should see you next week, providing I don't sleep forever. But we will catch you next time. And until then, I have been Jason.
And I've been James.
I've been Ant.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Minded Podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Goodbye.